Are you all set?
Yes. Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel Funches, and I have done my project on trade schools and vocational schools, or colleges. Thank you. So we are taught that it is a natural path after high school to attend a pricey college or university. As a result, it has become more and more common that you cannot succeed in life without a bachelor's degree. For many Americans, a four-year college may be the right choice, but trade schools offer another choice. Train and prepare for your new life in less time and less money. As I'm growing older and getting ready for my future, choices and decisions are getting close to my heart. Do I join the military? Do I go to a trade school? Do I go to college? Do I get a computer education degree? All of this brings stress and pressures in my life, and that's what prompted me to do this research, is what was right for me and what I needed to do in my life to be successful. So my project had two parts to this, which was the research actually on the trade schools and colleges, and a project for me to experience what a vocational student would learn in a common classroom setting. Perfect. All right. So college is becoming more and more common for the average American. It seems almost expected for high school graduates to go to college. These pressures come from friends and parents. This brings a lot of stress and chaos to our decisions and deciding where to go for the rest of our lives. So a study taken by U.S. News over 20 years looked at the prices from colleges, which is this little chart over here. As you can see, that private universities prices have increased 144% in the last 20 years. Private in-state schools have increased 165% in their tuition, and in-state private schools, now get this, in-state private schools have increased their prices 212%. That is ridiculous. That is so much money. It's not even funny. All those numbers, though, do not account for the inflation over the past 20 years. But the inflation of the USD is not 212%, guys. So college is becoming more and more expensive. And students are spending more and more time in school now. According to U.S. News, in 2001, students were spending an average of 2 to 4 years in college. Now, here in 2020, the average time in college is 4 to 6 years. Guys, that culminates to an insane amount of money that's over a longer period of time. College is getting more and more expensive. It's crazy. But I'm not saying college is bad. I'm saying that it's just more pricey. It is longer to graduate or to receive a degree worth any money. College can be beneficial if you know exactly what you're doing, and in extremely rare circumstances is it actually worth going to college. Vocational schools, on the other hand, it's less money and less time to prepare, and you can get into the workforce faster and you can find jobs that pay very well. So a bachelor's degree is about $135,000 compared to a vocational degree, which is $3,300. So that's less money, and you're spending 2 years in school compared to 4. And with a vocational certificate, that's even less money, and you get into the workforce even faster, and you look better for better jobs. So a traditional college is 4 times more expensive than an average vocational school. And that's huge, guys. Looking for a job after you graduate, either vocational or university, you have to go into the workforce. So 86% of jobs, 86% of students find their jobs in their chosen fields from a vocational school. Compare that to 82% of students who find their jobs in their chosen fields to college. So you're more incisive if you go to a trade school, and you have a better chance of getting into a job that you actually were there to go to. And if you think vocational jobs don't pay very well, an entry-level vocational job can get you $50,000 a year. So that's good money in a short period of time with very low costs for schooling. So the second part of my project was to experience a little bit of what someone in vocational school would feel or go through as an electrician or as a carpenter. To learn all the skills required to build my own room in my basement. My father, he had some skills, so he taught me the ropes basically on what to do. So the very first thing I learned was to make a blueprint, and you can see that right here, this little photo right here. This is a drawing that I did with my dad's help, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of measurements in here, and this is the actual dimensions of my room that I created. The second thing I learned how to do was to demo. So you can see that in these 2 photos right here. There's a whole bunch of junk and a wall in the way over here, which is that wall right here, and I had to tear down those 2 walls without damaging any of this concrete or these walls here. The next step in learning and experiencing was to actually frame and create these walls here, these 2x4s that are standing up. You can see them here. That was the next thing, and I had to learn how to install all of that and keep my workspace clean. That's very important that I learned throughout this entire thing, was to keep everything clean. After that, the next thing to do on the list was the electrical work. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm terrified of electricity. When we first started, this one memory kept running through my head. I was in Florida, I was being a little kid on a walk, and I noticed this weird fence, and it had these little yellow things littered all along it. And as I kind of looked in, I kind of went closer, I noticed that there was a little thin wire on the inside of this fence. And I hit something I wasn't supposed to. Oh well. So I reached in, I was like, what is that? Touched it, bam! I got electrocuted. It was a fence that was holding in a horse, and man, that hurt. There was enough voltage to keep that horse in its pen, and it went through me. I laid on the ground and cried. So I kept that in the back of my mind as I was starting this electrical work. And I'm not going to lie, I was actually thinking about completing it without electricity and just using candles. But thank goodness I persevered, because that would have been a nightmare. So I was terrified the whole time, but I got it done, and was really proud of that. The next thing was installing sheetrock and insulation. Now, if any of you have messed with insulation, you know that's really itchy if you touch it, and you just can never get rid of it. But all this information was new to me, and as I was working on it, my father was telling me how to build it and things to worry about. And he told me that if it touched me, I'd be itchy for a whole day. That didn't reach my ears. I'd rubbed my hands and face all in it, and that was a horrible day. Don't do that, guys. If you see insulation, just don't touch it. After that, that's the insulation's that pink stuff right there. So if you see that in your house, do not touch it, okay? Your life will be miserable for a couple of days. The next thing we worked on was the sheetrock right here. As you can see, there's two pieces. There's one piece that goes on the top, the second piece that goes on the bottom. There's a lot of guesswork involved with that, because if you remember all those framing 2x4s that were standing up, you got to screw in a screw and kind of hit that 2x4, and you can see all those little blots. That's where I screwed in screws and pretty much messed it up. So yeah, that was a lot of hard work. It was really fun. The next thing on the agenda was to install flooring and cabinets. So here's a photo of me right here working on the flooring. Sorry I'm not dressed up like that. I look like a ragamuffin up here, but it's what I look like. It was in my house, COVID, you know. So that's me working on flooring. That's actually tearing flooring out, which is really fun. There's a lot of staples on the ground, so you gotta be really careful about that. Make sure you wear shoes. I wasn't, so that was funny. Over here, the cabinets. Due to money problems in COVID, we didn't have enough money to make cabinets anew, so I decided to tear out two cabinets from our kitchen that we're remodeling and use those. So you can see them here, right here, getting painted. I learned the importance of demo and the difference between demo and teardown. Okay, demo is with a hammer, you smash through walls. Teardown is where you want to keep what you're doing intact. So I learned that. It was a very, very difficult skill because all I wanted to do was smash that thing with a sledgehammer, but couldn't do that. Then came the counter, which is that right there. Now, if any of you have messed with counters, you know that there's a special type of paint that you got to put on that counter, and it's really, really potent stuff. And you should probably do it outside. But it was raining that day, so we decided to do it in the basement. So work stopped for a week after that because you couldn't go in the basement because you'd suffocate and die. So don't do that either. Don't paint counters in your basement. You will die. So here's my end result here with everything in place and painted. Here's my little kitchen area right here. Got my bed right next to it. And here's just a different angle of the walls I put in. So this is one wall right here, and one wall right there. So I gained a whole bunch of practical skills and skills that I enjoy using now. This project was very fun. I loved it, except for the installation part, but whatever. So it was really fun, and I learned some vocational skills, such as electrical work and carpentry. I enjoyed those. So it was just a new feel for me to to use different skills that aren't necessarily taught in high school or college. So it was just really fun. And I challenge you guys to try different skills, to mess around, and maybe not jump into college just because it's the thing everyone's doing. And that's my message to you guys, is not to just jump into something because everyone else is doing it. Just think about what you're going to do. So that's my senior project.
What questions do you have for Gabriel this morning?
Yes.
Are you going to a trade school?
I actually jumped into college before this, so I am going to go to SNU here in the fall, but I am thinking about dropping that and going to vocational school. So
you mentioned that you built it as a room for yourself. So do you intend to live in here for vocational school or college or wherever you head on to next?
Yes, it was originally intended for that, and then, like a car salesman, I went over to SNU, looked at it, and I was like, I want to live on campus. So it'll be an ammo making room, I don't know. Folks are going to do something with it, but it was a really fun project still.